Can you smell what the flock is cooking? Flock up and flock off. Not you stick around because it's about to go down. You know, flock with the most energetic energy in the Eagleverse. And you know, I like to do around this time, about this time, at this time. So what's up on a What the Flock, on a What the Flock, on a Swoop Day Tuesday. Let's do this thing. You already know, man. There's so much to get into, man. It's been so long since my last therapy section, so we got a lot to get into. So first things first, what we got for our flock pots? We got some, we got new rules. We could do it like Kelsey and Kelsey do over there. No rules. You know what I'm saying? We got some of that going on over here. We got some, let's talk about Sirianni. He was down there at the NFL meetings down there in Orlando. We're going to get into a little bit of that. And this draft prospect that has come across my Eagle vision that is just taking the Eagleverse by storm, at least a little section that I'm in. Hopped in real quick. You know what I'm saying? So know a little bit, this kid is, he's kind of from the same area. We're going to get into it. But before we do that, let's keep the maniac thing. Let's get the nest keeping out of the way. Please like and subscribe. You about that fly, Eagles fly. Drop a comment in that box if you're flying with the flock. Let's fly. Do remember, join that maniac thing. Note again, you hit that bell, you get a bang. Whenever we on this YouTube thing, let's flock and fly. So we got some new rules, man, that it's kind of, man, you know, I usually like the good before the bad before the good. We switching up today because I don't know, this one's right out the top of my brain, right off the top of the beat. You know what I'm saying? Open your eagle eye, poke your beak, and give it an eagle screech. I needed one of those. Woo! It's been a while. So yeah, we've got this new rule concerning kickoffs, y'all. Kickoffs are back. Kickoffs are back. It's crazy. Like, I heard about this I believe it was 2 years ago when the XFL implemented this. You know, you kick off and then you bring the players at both lines closer together. You know, the offense, the receiving team and the kicking team, they're going to be closer to they call it the landing zone or something like that. I don't know quite the intricacies of the rule yet. I just know that kickoffs are back. Oh, wow, they're popping up right now. None of our owners pass hybrid kickoff rule. Oh, this looks crazy, man. I know we've seen it in the XFL, but you know, man, my eagle eye ain't on that as much as it is on the NFL, man. Looks pretty dope. It appears that they're kicking off from about the 40-yard line. Then the players are lined up at the third. So the kickoff team's 40, and then the two lines are somewhere around, it appears to be like 30 to the 25. And then those guys cannot engage until the receiver catches the ball. So that's going to make for, it's going to be less impactful. You know, the guys are close and they're not starting with a 40, 50-yard head start running dead at one dude, bro. So it's crazy, you know, it lends to health as far as that goes. So I just can't wait to bring the kickoff because last season, was it the last 2 seasons they've been doing this madness? It's just been wild to me. Seeing fair catches within the field of play on kickoffs was just nuts to me. It ceased to be football, at least in my estimation. I was not with it. I'm glad that is out of here. Plus, I believe if they're going to implement this, I believe something goes along with it as far as the onside kick. I believe it's a 4th and 20 from the kickoff team's 40 or 30, something of that sort, 35. So, yeah, so more excitement in the game. I'm loving that. This rule I am with. The other rule, as far as the hip trap goes, I'm a bit beside myself with it. I see the pros, cons, and the indifference of it. Like, it's wild. So I just took a few notes, and let's get into it. It's nuts to me. But then, like I said, once again, I also understand it. I get it, but just it's a bit too arbitrary for me. Like, you got guys running across field at all kinds of speeds, and I mean sometimes it's all you can do. How do you keep your hips from dropping while tackling? It's nuts to me. Okay, you're tackling to fall forward. You're gonna tackle more with your upper body. No hips. If this is what I mean, hips. If you talk to any personal, well, not any personal trainer, I mean, and I'm probably making stuff up, but whenever I do talk to personal trainers, hips seem to have a lot to do with a lot of things, a lot of mechanics. This is our center of gravity. This is the hub. These hips, you see, oh man, Eagle Media, I got to lose some weight. Those hips is going crazy. But yeah, so I mean, that bugs me out as far as the hips go, and just leaving it up to the referees. And then once I go into that arena, I'm thinking of, you know, so we're going to step inside the conspiracy theory lane. Because if you notice, I mean, it comes down to about 3 plays a game that decide the game. And, like, because we're so enamored with the game and the action and what's going on, albeit it's only on average about 18 minutes of action during the NFL football game. And it bugs me out how crazy we are about this sport, but it's never going to take it away from me. I believe, Green, you know how this thing goes. Regardless of what, when we delve into the conspiracy theory arena, And there's about 3 plays a game that a ref can, and you're thinking about the controlling of Vegas and the betting and all this, that, and the third. I started to see it started to rear its ugly head a bit more last season. The curtain got pulled back a bit more. I'm noticing that, okay, wait, so if that call wasn't called, some crazy thing that led it to 3rd and 20 in the first quarter, you're like, there's a lot of football left, but in the grand scheme of things, there really isn't. And now this game was just basically decided on some weird ass holding call that you never see called. Some dude down the field by a centimeter, just craziness that just flips the game on its head. And this is just yet another arbitrary judgment that a referee is left to make, that it just seems, in my estimation, if I'm going to go down that rabbit hole, that lends itself to controlling the game. And it's just because, it can be similar to holding. It can be called probably on every play, not every, but more plays than it should. And it just allows the refs to interject themselves into the game. And I get it. So then there's the other end. If we're going to hop outside of them, so I want to get too deep into the conspiracy threads, I could go crazy. We could go crazy. We'll be here all day. But then you also have the other side of it, where I understand the league to a certain extent, where it's money. They're setting themselves up not to be held liable to these injuries in the long run. And I guess if you litigate these rules, if you will, it can lend itself to insurance compensation and things of that sort. And then I heard Pat McAfee say something that, you could just paint it with a broad brush. And, this is, and it was Pat McAfee and the other guy. Damn, the DB. Butler? D-Butt? Yeah. So, they were getting into it, and whatever the case may be, you just paint it with a broad brush. It's a dangerous game. It lends itself to violence. Bad things are going to happen. So just, these things are going to happen. So just let the guys play, because it just feels like they're litigating defense out of the game. And it's wild to me. But then the last thing where I stand on this, and, because it affected us last season, you see a tackle similar to what happened to Dallas Goedert last season. And that was a rodeo tackle. The dude dropped his hips on an arm. Now, to that extent, of course, when I'm looking at the world through eagle-colored eyes, through eagle-colored glasses, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to say that it was a dirty play. The dude went on, held on. But then, you got these DBs, 5'10", 180 pounds, trying to take down this 6'4", 270-pound man. It's quite the endeavor to overcome, if you will. So he's grabbing this guy by his arms, and then, Dallas Goedert is out for 3-4 games. That could have changed the trajectory of our season dramatically. Yeah, we got to do that. Whew. So, you know what I mean? It was rough. It was rough on that side. So rough to see that happen to our guy. And if I'm just being completely biased and looking at the world through eagle-colored glasses, then I'm going to say that, where it stands right there, I'm glad, get rid of that. I don't ever want to see that happen to a player on my team again. But albeit that's a limb. So if you're doing it to a leg, and of course I'm going to paint the color of this rule according to my own assessment. So, just, if it's a limb or something and you're dropping your hips on somebody's arm, leg, if you're pulling them back, similar to what happened to Mark Andrews, then yes, that looks dirty, that looks rough. But, if it's just a routine tackling, you have to bring you're around another dude's hips and your hips so happen to drop. But we don't know how this is going to play out yet. It's very polarizing rules as it stands right now. And the day it happens, and it's against my team, our ease, bro. Yeah, oh, man. I think I got to put a glass wall up in front of the TV. It's going to be rough, man. But yeah, those are the new rules, and that's how we're sending out off of that. And just, leave it down in the comments how you feel about these new rules. I'm stoked about the kickoff rule, not so much about the hip drop rule, but we're going to see how this pans out in 2024 season. Next up, what we wanted to get into was a little bit of Sirianni at the meetings, man. I'm seeing, I was watching, I forget the name of that channel that I watch these. It's called Eagles press conferences, whatever the case may be. I don't even know if it's ran by the Eagles, but it's pretty dope whenever I can find it on NBC or something. More often than not, it's in there, or vice versa. Regardless of what Sirianni was talking at the Orlando meetings, the NFL meetings. And he spoke on one of my favorite tenets of his core values, and that was the connection piece. And then it led to something. I wanted to get into something else, but then I noticed later on in the press conference, he spoke on the fact that, he wants to get back. Emphasis on the words get back, as far as getting back to being the team that they were 2 years prior as far as the connectivity went. And it lends me to think what was going on in this locker room. Now you're remembering these rumors that you heard early in the offseason when guys like Craig Carton were bringing up the fact that the Eagles and the inside and what's going on the inside and his craziness and da-da-da. Like, this is the first time with us hearing Sirianni actually speak to it. You know, initially we did hear them say, like, oh, they're crazy, don't know what they're talking about. Like, everything's right over here, we doing our thing, and nothing's changed, da-da-da. But him saying to get back leads me to believe that there was some type of dysfunction going on in that locker room. And regardless of what, he said that, still didn't lean into it a bit more as much as we would have liked. But to his point, something did seem a bit off, and it's just great to have guys back like CJ GJ, who seemed like the perfect glue guy in that locker room. I know some people see him as a bit of a contentious dude, but I mean, when you see the post games and he's hype, but everything's good when we're winning, right? Regardless of what, he brings a certain energy into that locker room, and you can tell Devin White's energy is already on 100,000 million. That dude, you can tell, holds no punches. He's going to speak his mind, and you need guys like that in the locker room. That dude's walking around, mums the word, biting their tongues, things of that sort. So, you know, I'm just happy that we're interjecting that, and he spoke to that during these meetings. I love to hear that. One of the things he was speaking on, him and Jalen, of course, they're going to be connected, but Jalen does have to be connected to, his offensive lineman, as well as Nick would have to be connected to guys on the defensive side of the ball and just bring more of a family unit to the locker room. And then, he spoke to AJ and Devontae, and, of course, he's going to speak on those guys. He's a wide receiver guy, and it just left me thinking, like, dude, there's so much hate going on. I'm not one of those dudes. I'm a Nick guy. I'm in Nick's corner. But still, that doesn't mean the dude is perfect. None of these guys are at the end of the day. I mean, you could poke holes at Belichick's philosophy and things like that, so especially more so now than before. Regardless of what, Nick Sirianni, I need him to connect. If you're going to connect with AJ and Smitty, much in the way that you've done and the way you always do, you're a wide receiver guy. It's mandatory. It's an obligation. I need you to connect with Dallas Goedert. I need him to be interjected into this offense in a way that more than what he has been in the last 2 years, because he is such a dynamic piece, such a game changer. He can do it all, bro. We have to take advantage of this guy while we have him. I'm watching, of course, we're all enamored with Travis Kelce and what he can do on the field. For whatever reason, I went down to Aaron Gonzalez the other day. Don't tell anybody Aaron Gonzalez, Aaron Hernandez, whatever the case may be. And just watching that dude on the field, and I'm looking at the way he moves, and we're thinking of the way Dallas Goedert moves, and like, dude, this is such a phenomenal player. The back to the hips, the way this guy can move his hips and finagle his body into different, it's just crazy wild what he does, man. Maneuver his body into certain situations with the speed and the size and the maneuverability that a man that size has is just ridiculous. So I say that to say this. I need more connectivity with Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert with Kellen Moore. Dallas Goedert with Jalen Hurts. I need more Dallas Goedert next season. And I think that would just take the top off of this offense. Much like when I first started this channel, man, one of the first things that I wanted to speak on was just when you watch some of over the last 10 years, possibly even 15, 20 years, it seems to be the common denominator of all these teams that win is a dynamic tight end, dude. And I mean, yeah, I need more Dallas Goedert. You remember how Christopher Walken, Saturday Night Live? I need more cowbell, baby. I need more Dallas Goedert, baby. What are we doing? So we need to get that popping in there. What else did he speak on? You got the meetings. It seemed like at one point Andy Reid was hovering over Nick like he was a reporter. I don't know if it was just some dude with the Chiefs lanyard and a pink shirt, much like Andy Reid was wearing. That just stuck out to me weird. I don't know. Yeah, I had to get off the mind of the Eagle Maniac. But one more thing back before we get into the draft prospect and finish up with Nick Sirianni and the presser. I think how he spoke, but I didn't get into that. It was on a little maniacation real quick. Regardless of what, we've got the one of the most shining moments that may come from the hip drop rule is we may get better tackling. Because these guys, much like I believe it was Devin McCourty said it, or his brother, one of them dudes, right? Saying that, these defensive coordinators, these coaches across the landscape of the NFL, these are some smart individuals. Doesn't seem that way all the time, I know. Regardless of what, they're going to implement ways to get this, to iron this wrinkle out. If it's going to cost you 15-yard penalties, first downs, game-changing plays, whatever the case may be, they're gonna iron these wrinkles and get this thing right. And like I said, I believe it could lend to better tackling. less injury. We did say that. And better defense may be the benefit of this rule, not so much rule change, implementing this rule into the game. So if that is the case, I can't wait to see that. A lot of people were upset at the All-Star game in basketball, and just people going off. And since then, Rod Sterling, the commissioner of basketball, was he's made a concerted effort to put defense back into the game. Me, myself, I'm like, dude, I'm watching the All-Star game. I could give a damn about defense. I don't want nobody going crazy. I don't want any tryhards in here. My team loses a guy mid-season due to a dumbass injury in an All-Star game. Get the fuck out of my face. I would lose my flock and mine. But the benefit of them, of Sterling seeing that go down in the All-Star game, they got defense back in the game. And I'm one of those dudes. Offense is great in football. Of course, we love it all, man. But there's nothing wrong with getting shut down, sacks, all kinds of stuff. Just stopping other teams, dude. So I'm with it. If it makes for better tackling and makes the game better, this means that, a team like mine, especially our team, who had a bit of an issue with tackling last season, maybe they'll spend more time on this in the offseason, preseason, whatever you want to call it. So that's one thing where I am up for it. That's the one case in which I can see this rule, and amongst others, but one that I would love myself as a fan of football, as a fan of my Philadelphia Flock and Eagles. I would love to see that be one of the benefits of this rule. And then last but not least, I was in the chat for what's my boy's name? Gate City. Gate City, he was doing a break. He had a live going on as far as defensive. It seemed to be like mostly about defensive backs and what the Eagles are going to do with that 22nd pick. And it was a deep dive into defensive backs. I remember, much like I told you guys last week, I was big on Nate Wiggins. He cleared that up a bit for me. Nate Wiggins is more of a boundary. Yeah, I got this dude, Coach Hyder, he's dead ass like a coach, bro. It's dope. Watch him do his thing. If you ever get a chance, check out Gate City, right? Gate City Sports. Regardless of what. You got the boundary defender, the field defender, da-da-da. I believe he saw Nate Wiggins as more of a boundary dude. He says maybe perhaps his arms is too short as far as what the field side would require. But just the makeup speed. I told you what I fell in love most was just the makeup speed. If he was out of a play, he was back in the play just like that. That speed is blinding. Like, you just love to see that. But he perhaps knows a bit more. No, he definitely knows a bit more about what the intricacies of what these players need to be as far as what we require them to do. So we've got him and the guy that he was going crazy on. I was like, bro, as soon as I get off this live, I'm going to check this dude out on Sick Edits. Not to mention, he was just on NFL Network today. They were interviewing him. This kid, Max Melton, dude, is heavy hitter. He lays the hat down. And his sales pitch. At one point, McCourty tells him, look in the camera, sell yourself to a team trying to draft you right now, man. He said, you will find me everywhere but on offense, dude. You got this dude playing slot. You got this dude playing, slot and nickel. You got this dude playing slot nickel. You got this dude playing on boundary side, fill side, whatever the case may be. This guy does it all, and I am a maniac for Swiss Army knives, guys that can do anything on the field, because that just lends a defensive coordinator to do so many different things with a player. And so on one extent, he didn't flash to me, much like a few years ago, I'm watching Tyrese Halliburton coming into the league and watching the draft, and I'm just like, nah, dude, he just doesn't do it for me. Like Mini Maniac, now known as Mega Maniac, Maniac Jr. We're watching the draft, and it's like, this is, they both were with him, and I'm like, I don't know about this guy. He doesn't seem like he had a weird ass shot. He didn't look fast, nothing. He just was not popping off the tape, and as it turns out, he turns out to be a flocking maniac. He's a beast, right? Not to mention a few way back the draft when we got Fletcher Cox. Another shout out to the cat, Fletcher Cox, man. We're gonna miss that guy. It's crazy. I've been watching so many of his videos over the last few days. Oh man. Regardless of what, Fletcher Cox, the draft when Fletcher Cox came out, right? Everyone was big on, I believe at the time it was Luke Kuechly. And I'm looking at this tape of this Luke Kuechly guy. And I remember he was projected to us so much during that draft, right? And it just, he's up in Boston College. It can lend itself to the competition you're playing and things of that sort also. But it just didn't seem like this guy popped to me coming off the tape. So when we picked Fletcher Cox, I didn't know much of who he was. I was low-key hyped that we didn't get Kuechly. Whatever the case may be, but I'll say that to say this. Luke Kuechly turned out to be a transcendent, phenomenal player, but career cut short by concussions. And, God bless him. Hope he's doing well in his life and all his endeavors. Regardless of what, at the end of the day, the Eagles made the right pick. Just saying that to say this, that, Luke Kuechly was also a phenomenal player. And, he was lightning fast in the NFL. I don't know what I'm seeing on these tapes. And that's what Max Melton looks like to me on these tapes. He's not popping. I'm not seeing anything crazy. But when he is there, he's popping. And he's there. He seems to be everywhere. It's not that blinding speed that I see from Nate Wiggins. That may be a bit of what's giving me a bit of a bias as far as Max Melton goes. But, he is all over the place. He's always there. He's not getting there like this. He's getting there like this, regardless of what. He's getting there. And that's all we really want at the end of the day. Not to mention the level of physicality that he brings to the game. And then that attitude that he would have when you think of putting him in there with guys like Sidney Brown, Devin White, CJ, Like, it's just, that nastiness that we need back. A little bit of that nastiness that we lost from, at least as it stands right now, from my boy Avonte Maddox, mathematics. Yeah, it's crazy, but reminds me a bit of him, especially in the fact that he could do it all. So Max Melton, he's up there on my list now. Thank you, Gate City. That was flocking dope. You see, that's crazy. Yeah, so Max Melton is one of those dudes I've been seeing a lot of these guys, like, it's like Pokemon, like I said, I want to get them all. There's Kenyon Mitchell. He looks crazy. We got Nate Wiggins. I'm seeing Tyrion. I believe his name Tyrion. The dude from Alabama. He's been moving back, and I believe they have him as ranked as like the top dude. So if he slips to us, not to mention, Howie finagling the bagel, slips up, moves up in the draft, we could possibly snatch him. Then there's the guy Kool-Aid McKinstry, and you could tell like I'm stuck on these DBs. Like, it's just something that I feel like we need to address this DB room, the safeties, whatever you want to do. If we're gonna go down that Cameron Kitchen kid, I like a lot too. You've got like I was saying, you got the one guy from Alabama, Tyrion, then the next guy, Kool-Aid McKinstry. He ran I believe ran a 4.7 the other day on a broke foot, showing the toughness that he has. He could build a callus and still go out there and perform, which is, I think, is an eye opener. But, if some of these GMs, are going to look at the fact that he has the foot injury and then lets him slip, and perhaps we could snatch him in the early second, whatever the case, wherever we land, how he has us. But if we could get Kool-Aid McKinstry on a bargain late, I'm starting to learn a bit more about that guy. I'm starting to lean more to his side, especially when we're looking at equity and the riches or whatever, what we want to allocate towards him, and we could get him as a bargain, as a steal in the second. That would be amazing. And last thing I saw was, I believe it was Tannenbaum had Brock Bowers projected to us. That would be crazy. Talking about two tight ends says Brock Bowers, but Dallas got it. This could be nuts, y'all. But yeah, thanks for flocking with the maniac. Had to get that off my chest. Thanks for being here for the therapy. Woo, I need it. But till the next time, make it your best time. In the meantime, between time, keep it a green time. You all know I like to do around this time, about this time, at this time. It's always Eagles o'clock around here. Open your eagle eye, poke your beak in. Give it an eagle screech, man. And you already know what's up, man. We got questions. What you gonna do when Eagle Mania swoops down and runs wild on you? Say it with me one time. EAGLES. Eagles. Flock and go. Mega Maniac out here wilding, bro.